In Australia, there is no shortage of performance vehicles. Whether you want something Japanese, something German, something Korean, something American, or something Australian, there's something out there on Facebook Marketplace for everyone and anyone. But unfortunately, in the last few years, there's been a big problem. And this problem isn't just exclusive to Australia, it's worldwide. You guessed it, that problem is everyone thinking that they're sitting on a gold mine. When COVID hit at the start of 2020, the price of everything started to skyrocket. But the market that was most affected by this was the car market. Gone are the days we could get a manual V8 Commodore for $1,000 or an AU Falcon with Rego for $250. But recently, I had an epiphany. What if I told you you could get a performance vehicle with modern technology and performance for around $100? Yes, you heard that right, $100. You see, the solution to this massive problem we're facing is hire cars. You may be thinking, what sort of hire car can I get with the same amount of performance as an AU Falcon? Unfortunately, the answer to that is nothing, because those days are long gone, but you can settle for the next best thing, and that is whatever's at the front of Budget Direct. You see, the cheapest car you can buy these days are paddock bashers, but as I've mentioned in my other videos, a good condition paddock basher will set you back between $1,200 and $1,500, whereas a hire car can cost you as little as $20 a day. You may be thinking, hire cars aren't really known for their performance, but this is where you're wrong. You see, when you own a car, you want to take care of it. You're not going to get up in the morning, start the car, redline the tits off it, and rip the handbrake on every corner. Whereas with a rental car, this is perfectly fine to do. And that's because of the simple fact that you do not have to deal with the consequences. And that's what sets apart hire cars from the rest of the performance sector. You see, the hire car has many different uses. You can use it as a daily driver, you can weld the diff and turn it into a drift missile, you can use it as a rallycross weapon, you can take it down to the local footy oval for a quick paddock bash, and if you ride it off, you can just tell the hire company that you are a victim of a hit and run. You see, the not my problem philosophy is the most important part about what makes a hire car the best performance vehicle. You could easily go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on something like this, or this, but that $100,000 is just the start of your problems. Factoring in tires, maintenance, repairs, and things like depreciation, the list goes on. But when it comes to a hire car, you will never have to deal with any of these problems. As soon as you pay that couple $100 to rent out that car, whatever you do next is up to you. You can start it up on a nice winter's morning, rev it up to 7,000 RPM, drop the clutch in third gear, and when the clutch turns to dust and a piston gets sent to the moon, the best thing about it is it's not your problem. But that's enough about the not my problem philosophy, because what we're about to get into next is much more important. Let's just say you were driving your actual car, sent it a bit too hard in the wet, took out a power pole, and now you're looking at a hefty repair bill. For some cars, a new engine can cost thousands. So what if I told you you could get a brand new engine for $40? You'd think I'm crazy, right? Well, that might be the case. This story I'm about to tell you is true, I think. This man from the land of the free blew up the engine in his Yank tank, hired out a car with the same engine, and swapped the dog in. All that for the low price of $40. But that's just one example of what you can do with a hire car. You see, there are many other components that can wear out and break over time, such as tires, gearboxes, differentials, headlights, panels, you name it. But as long as there's a hire car out there with the same shit that you need, it's free game. Now, you may have noticed that the title of this video is Hire Cars, the Ultimate Performance Vehicle, and that last segment had nothing to do with performance. But that's alright, because I will now prove my point. You see, in this world, there are only two people whose word I can trust, and those two people are Colonel Sanders and Jeremy Clarkson. In 2014, they released an episode of Top Gear named The Fastest Car in the World, where they went to New Zealand, hired a Toyota Corolla and raced it against a racing boat. While the Toyota Corolla didn't win the race due to a few hiccups that were mainly driver error, Jeremy Clarkson did a brilliant job at showing the world why the rental car is the fastest car ever made. Now that we've touched on the subject of performance, we need to get into the subject of luxury. Earlier on in this video, I mentioned the modern technology that comes in rental cars that cars such as paddock bashers miss out on. You see, there aren't really that many cars on the market that you can spend your money on, where you can snap through the gears like the gearbox owes you money, rev it up to 7,000 RPM in every gear on the straights, and then, when you're done utterly abusing it, pop open the sunroof, turn on the heated seats, or crank the AC. You see, most manufacturers don't bother to combine elite performance with first-class luxury. You see, if you're looking for elite performance, these are the cars you can choose from. Most of the time, they're uncomfortable, stiff, set up only for track driving, and very expensive. And even if you do want to fork out big bucks for these elite performance cars, how often are you going to redline them? You'd be too worried about things like scratching the paint or putting too many kilometers on it that are going to hurt the resale value. That brings us onto the luxury cars. You see, cars like this often have big power, but thanks to stupid features that you don't need, like massage seats and expensive leather and TVs, these things handle and drive like a boat. So while you might be able to drive down the freeway with cruise control on and getting a bum massage, there's no chance that you're going to be ripping handbrakes around corners and dropping the clutch of the lights. But what if I showed you some cheap cars that can give you the best of both worlds? Well, here they are. All the cars you see on the screen right now are currently available for rent or have been in the past. These cars you can rent out for dirt cheap like I mentioned before. You can redline every gear, rip the handbrake around every corner, scratch all the paint, curb every rim, and put 1 billion miles on the engine. And unlike the extreme sports and extreme luxury cars that I mentioned before, you do not have to stress about hurting the resale value. You see, most of these cars shown on the screen have modern technology such as heated seats, Apple CarPlay, reverse cameras, blind spot monitoring, and skip out on the gimmick features like massage seats. Now if you were to go out and spend a few million on a car like a Ferrari F40, you'd quickly find out that it feels like you're driving a tin can on wheels. But you can get that exact same feeling for a fraction of the price with the Toyota Yaris. So next time you have a big trip to Mexico planned with the boys and you don't want to put too many Ks on your AU Falcon and hurt the resale value, just remember what Uncle Yorak told you. Anyway, if you learned something from this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment and share if you'd like to hear more wisdom from Uncle Yorak. And before I go, shout out to this legend for the $5 donation. I'll be sure to not spend it wisely.